Matt
says, start recording right now, man.
Already have.
All right.
Mama didn't raise no fool.
All right.
That was terrific, Con.
Oh, it's a blast.
Yeah?
Yeah, man. It was, so I have a buddy who used to own the local comic shop I used to go to. Then he owned Boston Comic Con. I think I told you about him. He owns a lot of original artwork and stuff. Very filthy rich. But he gets the biggest kick out of just tabling at a show like this, being a vendor. He like buys and sells comics all the time. So I went with him, and I helped him set up Thursday night. I got a wristband for the whole weekend, so I didn't have to pay. And I just had like a little like a headquarters. I'd go out and see artists and buy stuff, come back, throw the stuff under the table. I'd work for a while with him, then I'd go see somebody else. It was a good time. And of course, seeing Landgraf, what a blast.
Yeah. That's I don't know if you've seen what I've been doing, but I just can't get enough of that guy. And I just started doing a live stream where I'm copying. I want to ink like Ken Landgraf.
So he sent you the pencils, right?
Yeah. There's.
And then you printed them out, and then you're inking over it.
I just print, and I got this on the side and everything. But if I was to ever establish my feeling about him right here and now with you, is he's like the godfather of independent comics. I mean, I've literally for the last 2 weeks have been trying to find somebody else that has put in the work that he has. I mean, am I thinking a little too jaded?
No, I think you're spot on. I really think you're spot on.
Because he works with Gil Kane, he works with Wally Wood. You know what I mean? Like in the 70s, and then he just starts making his own thing. I mean, I just got this copy.
Right.
I mean, it's like a Bible, and that's really what I'm talking about. I'm talking with him too, trying to set up something where I can try to do a little more, this kind of like interview or hanging out kind of thing. I'm hoping even to have him on one side with his camera down and him just working on something, and then I could be working on something as well. And just to kind of, because I think that the thing about it is really, getting people inspired to make something. And that's the reason I wanted to have you here on the CROM podcast, because if people don't know, I'm one half of Turbo Pit Fighter.
Hell yeah.
Jake Jacobs is the other. And we've had Matt twice so far on our Indie Creator Exchange. And this here is one of the two. Here's the second volumes of Matt's creation, which is Tales to Enlighten. And I just wanted to get you on because I still have 100,000 questions to ask you because Jake keeps hogging the mic.
No, you guys, I love the pod. First of all, the book is coming along so good. I love it.
Thank you.
The podcast, I don't get to watch. It's just only so many hours in the day, but
sure.
I try to check out all the creator interviews. And less so just the regular hour-long, making of. But I think it's the greatest idea. And when I do watch, I do have fun. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's good stuff, man.
Thanks.
If I could get you guys to go any faster, I would.
Well, that's all on Jake. God bless him, because he wants to hold down that real job, which is, that's,
it's important.
He's got kids. It is. So, and of course, I'm the one that's without kids, and
right.
Living the artist life.
So you got to have your own project, like this CROM book,
Yeah, and I am taking up the notion and what Jake and I talk about in questioning why people aren't doing it more and more. And I'm doing a CROM anthology follow-up to this is just a scrapbook that I put together, and I'll be flipping through this with Matt. But, right now it's August 24th. I think by the time this video goes up, it'll be probably September, early September. If anything, probably the end of August, anything. Where I'm running not a Kickstarter, an anti-Kickstarter,
Right.
where I'm just basically, hey, I've got the copies. They're ready to be purchased. I just want you to come to cromthebarbarian.com and buy it. And if I can get 100 copies, it will help put together the follow-up, which will be the CROM anthology. So
super reasonably priced too.
Thank you. I can hold it at that. Actually, I just changed updated my shipping. So if everybody wants to know, if you're in the UK, it's the same as the American, which is like $7, and then Australia and New Zealand dropped down to 10, and then anybody else still has to contact me to get actual shipping rate. But yeah, it's going really, really well. I've sold 63 copies as of today. I've got. Well, I'm a week away. So next Saturday, I will be ending the sales campaign and look forward to 100 copies in the can sold. And it'll still be available, but it'll only be my cover available. All the guests, including Ken Landgraf, will be no more. Other than the copies I end up sending these guys, and they'll sell them.
I ordered myself a copy of Ken's cover. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get it yet? Because I think it's on its way.
No, not yet, but it should be any day, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Batches just went out, I think like 2 days ago. But anyhow, officially this is episode 39 of the CROM Updates. But I might even earmark this as a hanging out because in all sincerity, I am massively impressed and in awe of what Matt's accomplished with these Tales to Enlighten. And as I did state, there's just a lot of questions because I've been out of the game probably about 13 years, maybe even 14. And then even getting back in, I was still living a kind of reclusive way. Not doing a lot of social media, doing some cons, just kind of doing one-on-one commissions and, putting a comic book, which was the CROM stuff out and such. But just so everybody could see this, we're talking 600. Well, like the stories themselves is probably about 500 pages worth, right? For Tales to Enlighten?
Yeah, so the page count of the first book is 300 something pages, but for story pages, that would be like 160 pages. Right. And then there's got to be another 300. The second book is 500 pages, so
right.
It's got to be like, so it's got to be like 400 or 500 pages of story,
So, and once again, clarity, Matt is the publisher.
Ringmaster.
Yeah, Ringmaster. No, that's a really good way. It's so difficult nowadays because, these terms like I'm a comic book publisher, I'm a printer, I'm a creator, I'm a writer, and then people are always at the end of whatever you're saying you are like, well, what does that really mean?
Right.
But yeah, you're definitely a ringleader, instigator, even, and from the last conversation we had with you on the Turbo Indie Creator interview, you don't really write a script per se. You kind of doodle out pages and then contact the artist, and you guys start bouncing back and forth. Is that
true and false? I mean,
the
first book was certainly a full script. James Edward Clark, amazing artist, he contributed a lot to it.
Right.
So I gave him a script, and even the first X amount of pages, like I had like center wrong thumbnails of what I was thinking, and he would only make it better. I mean, there's ideas in there that are original to him that he added, page design that, I said one thing, he came back with something even better, So that was more of a full script. The second book is a mix of full script, and there's like stories in there where I was like, this is my idea, very general idea. What can you do with it? So
Mm-hmm.
it was more collaborative probably in some of the short stories in the second book. But I mean, generally, I would say more of a full script because I'm a control freak. So
Okay, all right.
yeah,
I needed clarity on that because
that's okay.
if there's well, once again, like going back and you telling somebody, yeah, I wrote all of this, and then they're seeing all of these different styles. I think the initial reaction is like how are you writing it, because aren't you supposed to be totally depending on the artist, like, you know what I mean, like it seems like comic book writers will assign an artist to an idea, and then they write and then they dictate to the artist what they want. But as you're stating, it's more of a collaborative feel
Right.
in and I had asked that question last time in the interview, where you could have an idea for a story and know the artist that would
Right.
really be
Kind of
able to
kind of work back
control it.
kind of work backwards. Like this one's a romance story, and
Yeah,
this
right.
this this guy MC Wolfman, I just so it was a romance story. That the story idea came first, and trying to find the right artist for it came second. I knew I wanted to work with this guy, so it was it was. It goes both ways. Sometimes the story comes first, and I find the artist, and other times it's like I know an artist, I want to work with him, but what does he or she do best,
Mm-hmm.
and write a story geared, it's more informed from the artist first, So it's a mix.
Which once again, it times have changed in that ran both of these through Kickstarter, so it wasn't so much out of pocket. You're getting support up front to be able to get the books printed, and you
Well,
have an idea of who is interested, if any.
both of my Kickstarters, the books were done first before I
Oh,
went to Kickstarter
well, they
because
weren't printed. They weren't
no,
printed though,
right,
right?
they weren't printed, but all the
Okay,
art
okay.
it was they were assembled. I was just
Yes,
waiting. I
yes.
was just waiting for the money to send it to the printer. That's like a lot of Kickstarters. They need the money up front to take the time to draw it or whatever, and that just wasn't going to work in these
Nope.
giant books.
Nope.
You guys would
Nope.
still be waiting years later for it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, I just, I also, you know, once again, with titling somebody as, like, I always feel that this is my art. Like, this is a drawing I did to use as a cover, but
Right.
this thing's my art. Now, you know, in all sincerity, this is your art. You're an artist. It's just, and it's almost like a leaning into the Andy Warhol thing, where there's a factory type of movement from idea to construction to publication to, so on and so forth. So I look at, especially this one, it because of its Bible weight, as a guideline. And one of the other reasons, nefariously, I wanted to bring you on, especially this,
Oh yeah, Ken story.
you know,
Penny
I
Floor.
really want to see if there's any way you and I could work together in some aspect of the CROM anthology. Because once again, I'm not claiming ownership of CROM. I'm also not trying to claim myself as the publisher per se. But I really want to learn more from you in the experience of working with you on how to eclectically thread something together, because I think
Right.
that's the most awesome thing about this, Matt, is this is not random stories stuck together because they're all cool and they're funny and they're gross and they're disturbing, you know, all these different things. And I'm like, oh, wow. It's like people really need to understand that there are major threads that come out of this that you're getting in multiple visual dynamics. It's exactly what I want to do with CROM. I just have to admit that out loud. So I'm here before you, to get as much sort of like, hey, don't do this, or hey, try this, or maybe you and I could try this and see what would come about.
I'd be happy to, if I could come up with a good idea, I'd be happy to work with you. Can I ask you a couple basic questions right off the bat?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the character of CROM, you have the public domain stuff in here.
Right.
This came before Conan the Barbarian?
Conan the Cimmerian. So if you want to use
the Robert E. Howard.
If you want to use copyright trademark titling, CROM the Barbarian and Conan the Cimmerian, because of the death of those authors, are in the public domain. But the Conan Cimmerian thing, you really don't want to mess with without getting Conan Properties International involved, because they do own Conan the Barbarian.
Okay.
But
as far as concepts, though, because obviously in Conan he's always Crom's teeth, hail Crom, blah blah blah.
Yep.
So is that actually a direct reference to this character? No. Okay.
So what I did, just hopefully I can keep this as short as possible. So I was leaving the real job to come back and do comic books. And I was saying to myself, you know what? I really want to go after this Conan thing. But I had like a 2.5 year exit strategy from working. I just didn't quit my job one day. So I literally contacted, I don't believe I actually spoke to the person personally responsible for Conan Properties International, but I submitted ideas saying, hey, am I allowed to do this? Do I need license? Basically this whole kind of thing. And basically the response I got back from them was, we're not interested.
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay. And then I did in my research start finding people who were like, don't mess with them. Don't try to skirt it. Definitely keep them like heads up. Well, I don't want to be told that I can and can't do something. I hate the control mechanism in the flow.
Without derailing you, there is, they do print Conan comics in England called Conan the Cimmerian, right?
I believe so, yes. Because that's, once again, they try to control it everywhere.
Right.
But it's a slippery slope. So I said, okay, well, I literally typed in, with my heart all crushed, because my goal in life is to literally write a Conan story, and draw it. That is my life goal as an artist. So I felt a little crushed. I'm like, this is just going to be impossible. But let me see if I can find a public domain comic book character. So I literally just Googled public domain sword and sorcery comic book character. Bing!
Okay.
And when I saw, I was like, how the hell?
So
this is just crazy.
It's pure coincidence that the name CROM also was a character that Gardner Fox did.
Gardner Fox, most definitely. There's no documentation. I've talked to the family. There's no clues. There's nobody around that time to make it. But as much research as I've done about pulp and comics, because this comic appeared first in a pulp magazine, because they were trying to marry the two as they were dividing through the 40s and the 50s. So there's most definitely Fox and Junto were like, oh, you know what? Let's do a Conan thing, but let's not get sued. So we'll just make him blonde hair and a little skinnier, and we'll call him CROM, because it'll send a signal out to the guys who read Conan the Cimmerian.
Right.
So if you read Conan the Cimmerian, you would get this like,
you would recognize the name.
you would
Name
go, oh, cool,
recognition.
you know what I mean? But it only lasted 3 issues. You know, the third one jumps out into a magazine that was out of this world. But you know, it doesn't connect or resonate with enough people so the publishers can move through. So I started immediately thinking like, oh, this is a great long game. Like, why don't I mess around with this character, i.e., the feeling I have with your characters here
Okay.
is, and ultimately the ending to Crom's life as a comic book character would be you hearing Conan the Cimmerian on the field of battle for the first time screaming,
invoking his, great.
Crom. So, you know, and then that would back into it. And then the other part of it is, and I find it, and this is another enlistment of the madness of Matt King, is I got to take this like happy-go-lucky jungle kid to a dark existential god.
Right.
That's the goal that I'm working on with Crom. I'm not putting that on anybody else. I would love to get as many people to come work on it. I have the ending written, so I already know how it all. I just teased it out a little bit, but that's just literally just a little tip of the tease. But there's a whole world. So the book itself is like a player's hand guide, where I did, like I said, it's this naive, happy-go-lucky kid, you know, finds swords and he's got a sister and he meets girls and everything. Then the heart of the stories, which are Fox's, because Fox was number one. The family said his granddaughter Terry, when I met her, you know, she broke into tears at one point because I was giving her the CROM material that I had print, the first one. And she's like, you don't understand, and you have to understand. The deepest memory I have of my grandfather is him taking me to see Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, wow.
Because it was like the 15th time he had seen it. He foundationally, and I have read all of his works because I operate the Gardner Francis Fox Library, which is all 156 books of his. His historical fiction, if anybody wants a really good read that's not sword and sorcery but feels like sword and sorcery, he wrote 18 of these things. The Italian ones are the best ones because he really is able to flip the whole medieval, you know, script and everything. So anyhow, so he's all heart when it comes to sword and sorcery. And then I throw this Crom and the Warlock of Shardor, which was originally a 1953 Planet Stories that had this funky, weird science that I turned to magic and replaced some of the characters, Crom being one of them. But as I've been saying, is if there's anything you read in this, is part 7, the last part, because this part is that jumping off point that can help somebody start understanding, myself included, how to get this happy-go-lucky jungle boy into becoming a dark, brooding, existential god that Conan the Cimmerian, you know, praises.
Right. So I am a little underprepared, and as I only read your 4 stories at the beginning, I didn't read the public domain stuff, and I was just gonna like totally bypass all the prose stuff, but
sure.
just the stuff you just said, it kind of has me keyed up to check it out. So I don't usually read anything without pictures. Like, I'm very comic book, but I want to. While we're here, I pulled this out this morning. Are you familiar with these?
Yes.
These are so fucking good. I don't know if you have all 3 of them, but they're amazing. And I think you would, if you don't have them, I would totally recommend it. And anybody that's into this stuff, definitely hit up Corey Corcoran, I think his name is. You look him up on Instagram, right. Or maybe you can put a link in the end or something. But
absolutely.
This stuff, he's just the publisher. There's a writer named Bludgeon, and it's all this prose female Barbarian stuff is so sick. It's just, I don't know if you've read it, but it's totally.
I think you gotta stay on a budget, so
I know.
it ends up jockeying, and there's just so many things. But no, that I have seen a while ago.
I can't recommend it.
I will
enough.
move it up on a list. Yeah, I'll move it up on the list. No, I do. I'm not as much as I am trying to corner you. I don't want you to be, feeling like you have to say yes or no to anything, but I just have this, just deep, curiosity, especially from your perspective, having already gone through, this level of interaction material wise, that darkness, that you have a very humorous approach to it. But I can tell you right now, anybody unlike us is going to go, wow, this is really disturbing. It's like, this is not supposed to be funny, right? It's like, but you have us, Jake and I oozed over the, these insert ads, which are so nicely strategically placed as a break to help you digest what you just previously experienced. So, if anything, I would want to bring you in to CROM the Anthology as a consultant, and if there's something that I come across where I'm like, oh wow, if I could get Matt King to kind of give his spin or twist or just thoughts on it, that would be really advantageous, I feel. So
I'd be happy to help.
The least amount that I would get you on record for saying. But if there was something that came along, like one of the things I tried to find, where is it? Yeah, here it is. I tried to find Santos Zabalos on Instagram. And he's not. Okay.
But he is on. He's on Facebook under Doc Zab, DOCZAB.
Okay, Doc Zab. Okay,
yeah.
Because obviously, if you came across his work and thought Warren, right?
Oh,
I mean, you could get
100%, 1,000%. Yeah.
It's almost disturbing to the point where I go, I've never seen this in. I mustn't have the issue. I didn't buy that Rook issue number 16 or the special edition, as Warren was always doing and reprinting stuff.
He's so spot on with that Warren vibe. Are you familiar? They put out a magazine now, a couple magazines. They're creepy and eerie knockoffs.
Yeah,
called like Shudder or something. I forget what they're called, but his work is in there all the time. So
okay.
So yeah, he's still, and he works with some of the stuff is still written by Don Glut. So yeah. So he's still out. I got to meet him at Terrificon a couple years ago. What a cool dude.
Oh yeah, like an unsung hero.
Brought up all my occult files of Dr. Spector to have him sign
and shit. Oh man. Because part of the anthology I have in my head laid out is like one half CROM and then one half backup stories that support the feeling of the vibe of the magazine. And I'm even thinking around 200 pages. So, you really get a feeling like this, that, you're immersed in something. You're not going to steal 15 minutes. Maybe, you could do something with this in 15 minutes, but it's hard because even in random flipping, you're like, what the hell? And then if you're, so inclined to grab your phone and try to find, on Instagram, and then you're like, holy crap, look at all what he's doing and stuff. I love that. I love that.
Well, that was the idea, so I'm glad it worked for you.
And there's a link, just so everybody is clear on this. There's a link to your Etsy shop in the description. What's the name of the Etsy shop?
It's King Megatrip, one word,
Okay.
.etsy.com.
Okay, cool. Just so it's on
Yeah.
vocalized record. So yeah, I mean, I also want to ask, like, are there any pieces of wisdom that you would throw at me right now in getting out of, I'm finishing up my first publication, and would be then heading into my CROM anthology. But
Mm-hmm.
you're watching me on Instagram. You're seeing the sales campaign. I'm doing this. And it's getting the buzz. And it's nothing against Kickstarter. It's not like I don't want Kickstarter. It's just I want to get the book directly out to people without any waiting and stretch goals and stickers and
Yeah.
that's,
You could still, even after you sell 100 or whatever, you could still put up a Kickstarter campaign. You know what I mean? And it could be very, very basic. You don't need you don't need all the bells and whistles of. I didn't do any stretch goals and stuff. I came up with it was a digital version, a physical version, and then I think a couple of the artists donated the original artwork, so I was able to put that in a level, and like a T-shirt, I think I did. So it was very, very basic. Like you
right,
could,
right.
I've seen campaigns where you just do the digital and physical. You've already got it. It's already exists. It's a thing. So it's basically just a different avenue to take pre-orders. It's you really don't have anything to lose except they take about 10% of your money. But it's
That's the other reason.
yeah,
That's how also the pricing right now for the book is where it's at, because I
right.
could not do the same pricing on uh, um, on Kickstarter. I am thinking about, and I've already messed around with the files of doing I call it a blood red version.
Mm.
So it would be the black and white red feel,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, I'm
Landgraf.
not trying. I'm not trying to not. I can't. I could try to get things a little more screen feel, but really,
Mm-hmm.
it's just something like a Photoshop layering and doing it. But we'll see.
Right.
But yeah.
Every book of Fist of the North Star has this, the red
Yep.
tint
Yep.
to,
Yep.
in
Yep. Yep.
the intro chapters. So,
Right.
it's something you could do,
Right. So yeah, there's always options there.
Mm-hmm.
But the other part of it is, I'm working with. Just these four guys alone. I've got David Molina. We're already working on an 8-page. We've got it from 6 to 8 pages. I have a collection of very short length pulp stories that are not straight up sword and sorcery, but they definitely could be in the world. So it's a CROM adjacent story.
Mm-hmm.
So David Molina is going to be doing the pencil and layout for that, and then I'll be doing inks. Also, I got
Whatever you were just showing me, man, I love it.
this is all Zipatones too. He hand cut these Zipatones on there. It's about 3. Yeah, we did
Sweet.
a CROM update together, and I printed this out black and white, and I just grabbed a whole bunch of color markers and gave him the idea of you could color it in, and then assign screens to the colors. So purple could be, this screen, blue could be this screen, green could be that screen and stuff. And he nailed it. Just absolutely nailed it. And 2, if you want a really good follow, Pariah Comics, David Molina on Instagram. He
Yeah, right.
just
I'll have to
does
check
these
it out.
he just does these paneling things, and they're not for a specific story, but you could see how he's thinking in panels. So we're working on that. And then and that's called The Last Dryad is our story here. Jason Schoonover, just absolutely love his pen and ink work. Also, his approach similar to yours, or maybe more adjacent to yours. There's a sense of humor. There's some darkness in there, but there's always a real driving force in there. We're working on Right now it's a 6 page, and it's right. We have it named. The working title is called Kandahar CROM. So have you ever heard of the Kandahar Giant from Afghanistan? Special units group was going through a pass. This is like one of those conspiracy theory things that Jason brought in. So he took this conspiracy theory and we started playing around with it, which was this unit was going through this pass through Afghanistan and came to a cave, and there was all this like trash and litter around and everything. So they thought there could be, evildoers in there, insurgents and stuff. So they had to investigate it. And then when they did go in there, they were attacked by a giant. And so they killed this giant, bagged the giant, and then all had to sign NDAs, and the giant disappeared. So there's supposedly no. So Jason really enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. So we're taking the premise, and they end up getting into the cave, and they run into CROM the Barbarian.
Huh.
And I'm not spoiling any more because the ending, Jason's ending is pretty cool. So once again, working with someone there. Drawn Sword. Now he's on another level. He's in New Zealand. He is working on an art book, 32 illustrations called Scoundrel's Dread. It's more like a concept book. That's how I would kind of, because it's just this type of like, it's just world building and characters doing stuff. And there's this if you don't stop and really get into the details, you're missing it. And this is to size. This is to size pencil. And then I just love Adam Dodds' work, which is just this psychedelic, mark making and such. So, I have these other guys that I'm working with. And the idea is to build a crommunity.
I love it.
You know what I mean? Where
Cromcore.
I have to be realistic in that, the majority of people I think out there in the world are turned off by the nonsense of comics. But even within comics, I think people look at sword and sorcery as some, those are the really weird kids in high school.
Very niche, yeah.
But the ones, I'll tell you, just those, I can say those 4 guys, without a doubt, the nicest guys you'd ever meet, are always enthusiastic. They're very professional too. I'm really excited to keep that going.
Making my books was so fun because nobody's doing this. Nobody's getting rich. You know what I mean?
Correct.
They're doing it because they love it. And if you're, the enthusiasm and the joy, everybody was cool. Like, if I wasn't going to be working with any dicks, I mean, they're just, it's like naturally cool people are just like gravitated towards it, So I'm sure you're finding the same thing. Now, your anthology, is it going to be a full color or is it?
No, I'm staying with black and white. Yeah, I'm staying with black and white.
Gotcha.
And what I did was, I think all of us have these folders on their computers that are filled with comic books that they find online and download, or they've purchased them, or they've scanned in, because you just want them on the road kind of thing. Well, I took 450 pages of my favorites and made this, Dan Snook calls it the scrapbook, and that's exactly what it is. This is stuff that on my my personal darkest days, where I'm
Corbin?
stuck. This is from Grim Wit #1. But you get into those really dark spaces where life's beating you down and all that, you're like, and you got the weekend and you're just closing yourself off in your room. This is the folder that I would go and open up and start reading. And then within minutes, I'd be drawing my own shit. So I want to, part of the funding that I generate from the first 100 copies being sold is, tracking down the licensing, the estates or what have you, and see if they can come through. But also doing variant versions, basically my own inking versions. In all sincerity, I'm not a big writer. I just have too many challenges, dyslexia and ADD, so it's tough. And even the penciling part, I'm still working out, because that's like 3 to 5 times more than me just sitting down inking, just inputting a page together kind of thing. So it's really nice working with Jake on Turbo Pit Fighter because he's taken
Right.
half of it, which is also what I'm going to be, looking forward to with that. But there's also this great. This is actually other Gardner Francis Fox stories that appeared in. It was like, what was that short-lived Skywald? Yeah, Nightmare, Psycho Annual, Nightmare, Monsters Unleashed. What
a cool idea for your like influences to put it in a printed bound volume. Very cool idea.
And get it in front of other people, because that's I think the hard part is the barrier of most of this material. If you were to buy the originals, they're just over the top, and over the top can be $20, $25.
Sure.
So you're not going to go out there and get, like I know for a fact that the Fox material, most of these magazines are no less than like $16-17, but they usually run up to about $35. I'm not even going to buy them all,
Right.
that type of thing. But if you're really into something, this is Golden Age. So this is 1940 Canadian. It's called Dark Daring. I definitely want to do a variant version of this and cromify it, because it's just bonkers,
Is that so? That scrapbook is all sword and sorcery barbarian stuff?
Yes. So there's a little bit of a little. Now get this. Are you ready? You're sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, right before I jump. Just before I know you. Alfredo Acala is going to be the biggest one I want to wrangle in, and I just bought a magazine that had the names of the sons in the estate that I want to track down and contact. But here's the other part. Da, 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 da. Okay, come on. Where are you? Let me just do it from the back.
In the scrapbook, do you have any issues of Iron Jaw?
No, I don't. I am aware of Iron Jaw. Oh, here it is.
These are very cool.
So let me show you this. So when I was
Cobra.
Cobra's one of them too.
Yeah,
Cobra's
I saw.
Definitely one of them. I just can't never get enough of Cobra. I would spend if somebody would let me and pay me, I'd spend the rest of my life just redrawing the American English version of Cobra. All was it 18 volumes or something. Just absolutely crazy about it.
Was it that many?
I think it's 18. I have like 9, but I have like 1 through 5, and then I skip a couple, and then
I have the. Was it Viz that put it out in English? I forget. Yeah,
yes.
I thought there was
That's
only
what
like
this is.
I thought there was only like 10 of them or something.
They only did. Did the English version. Now they have since then, and I think Viz is also the publisher of it. They translated all of his work, so all the volumes are in these, like, I don't know what you call them.
Taco
larger taco, larger, like the taco size and everything. But they colored them.
Wow.
And that's that really, like, it's that thin, like, colory crap, and it's just completely destroyed me. But when I was a young guy, I was obsessed with kung fu and ninjas. And so
weren't we all?
For my birthday, believe it or not, I would beg my parents to take me to Chinatown, New York City.
Oh, wow.
And then I was allowed to have a meal there, which my dad did international traveling, so he was totally cool with sitting down and eating whatever it is that I thought I wanted to eat, chicken feet and, raw fish, sushi, and all that kind of stuff. But I would go through the stalls and look for, like, I always get the kung fu outfit and the slippers, and swords, the toy swords. But I picked up these are very small. I don't have them near me, but I've actually bought the original Japanese. The Chinese would do bootleg comics.
Yes.
And I picked up the first issue just out of nowhere of this, which is called I always forget the name of it. Yeah, it's Flashover Elements. And I just love it. It's post-apocalyptic. I just love the thing. So I bought 2 of the copies from Japan, and the guy's still alive. So I'm going to use some of my Japanese contacts and see if I can route my way into getting the licensing to either reprint, translate, reprint, and that thing. So these are all big ideas and dreams.
Wow.
So I just want everybody to know. But this book really helps me stay on task. That's Chard. This is another one. Like, I want to get a hold of Pat Boyette's family. I think it's his daughter that is controlling of the state.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of I love Pat Boyette. But this is my favorite Pat Boyette story, which is called Carrion of the Gods, which was in Weird Tales of the Macabre #2 Seaboard Comics. And that was a black and white. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely have enough, but, just getting back onto what and this is the best one. You and I were going back and forth about it. You actually made a statement. Why the hell hasn't anybody put this together?
Oh, man.
This is a fucking collection. And I put it in here. I put it in here based on you saying that, man.
You know who turned me on to that?
Who?
Adam Lemna.
Oh, yeah. Adam is the man. Adam is the man. And as a matter of fact,
I'm sure he's too busy. I'm sure he's too busy making Relic Hunter comics to contribute to the CROM anthology. But I don't know many people that are more into that genre than him.
Right. And you're absolutely right. And he said we could see it in our hands by December, because I finally just broke down and bugged the hell out of him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Messaging him like, dude, you're gonna have to get it, because I can't keep this up.
I asked him not too long ago, and I forget what the date was, but he has some show, and he wanted to have it done in time for whatever the show was.
Right.
But I'm pretty scant on details now that I'm recounting the story.
But one of the last thing I'll share, because I know I share a lot, and I really do it for myself.
I want a copy of that book.
Well, I've already been pestered by many people, but what I'm putting out to people, because I don't want to just sell it, because there's a lot of copywritten material in there, and I don't want anybody thinking I'm being that way. Right. But if one was to work with me, even on a collaborative level, they would be needing a copy for reference material.
Right.
So we would work that arrangement out. End legal note. But the last thing I want to talk to you about, Matt, and I just really honestly want your feeling about it, is, would there be any interest in you? Because I did bring this up in our first interview, where I asked if you would be interested in seeing your work black and white. So maybe there'd be a possibility where I would reprint people's work, even I would have to reach out to Adam Lemna, set something up. Obviously, he's published by Cosmic Lion, so I'd have to talk to Eli, because, I don't want anybody, upset there. But the idea is also to create, and this would be like, you have your, pinup gallery in the back. I have this gallery set up in the back. So no matter what cover version you get, you're still going to get the guys who did their own versions of CROM. And then what happens is there's a QR code and some information, and then this will go to Adam's Instagram. So it'd be a little bit of promo. It would be printing no more than 8 pages of something. It would be like a teaser, but it would also be that crommunity type of feeling. Like, hey guys, this is adjacent to material you would like to, you would probably like to get a hold of, because it's in the same flavor as. Is
Right.
that something? Is that something that's you would consider, or would you steer clear from?
I don't know about reprinting like 8 pages in the back of someone else's book, but
Okay.
I like the idea. What I would do if I were you, instead of wasting all those pages, like you had Adam's bio, uh, image, bio, and the QR code on the one page, and then an
Right.
example of his work on the facing page. I think that's
Right.
great. I don't think you need to do like whole subsections of your book dedicated to some. But that's just my own feeling. I mean,
No, that's
yeah,
exactly. That's
I
why.
wouldn't, I wouldn't, I wouldn't want to suck up a bunch of unrelated pages in my book with someone else's stuff.
Okay.
There's one thing between gratitude. I just think that'd be overdoing it. But I mean, to each their own. I'm not
No,
the,
no, 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 not.
I'm not, I don't have a PhD in this stuff.
No, 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 no. It's
Right.
I spend an incredible amount of time. This was actually one of the pieces that one of the stories that had me
Yeah.
interested in seeing in a magazine like black and white magazine kind of
Yeah.
setup.
So,
That was
so that
kind
art
of the
is by,
idea.
that art's by Ragne Naes from, uh, Nor Norway, yeah, Norway.
Yeah, I believe I do.
But he is what a great dude. Do you have his Damlog books?
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
incredible.
That would be amazing to have that in a CROM anthology. Not even
Yeah,
as a reprint. I mean, just getting, or even as a reprint. But yeah, it's yeah, it's very much for me a. I got these ideas. There's the do they work? Because I do this to Jake too. Sometimes online, on the air, and recorded. But a lot of times we're shooting shit before and after an episode. He's like, I don't think people are going to go for that. And then what I do now you're the other side of when Jake goes, I don't think you.
second
now
opinion.
now now I'll ask Matt that if Matt kind of goes that way. But yeah, I still hold, and I like the I still want to promote people. Like that's because one of the things
Absolutely.
you
I
know, I
think,
want there to be that
but
that
see the way you
feeling.
have, but the way you have those pages where you're giving each person 2 pages there.
Yeah,
I think that's plenty.
that's plenty.
I
Cool,
think
cool,
so.
cool. Thank you. Yeah, no, no, no. It makes complete sense. Makes complete sense. Cool. All right. Well, look, I don't want to take too much more of your time. We've already run the gauntlet for 50. I know you can. I think, but I am going to be doing another. I have to give a heads up to Jake, but I'm going to do another live stream in about an hour and keep pushing on my inking lesson with.
Hmm.
I just can't because I'm actually going to buy a LaserJet printer to help me find screens and print them out and glue them. I just love this collaging. I just think it's another layer. It's another layer leveling up in making comic book art.
Yeah,
So
I mean that's what Ken does. He just prints out the zip tones and
yeah,
cuts them out and pastes them on.
yeah. So I just
You
need to
know,
get the. I need to make some zip tones or find some zip tones, but I need that laser printer where it's just black on white ink. It's just
right,
zip. That because I've tried to do it on my inkjet and it's just fuzzy. Everything's
right.
fuzzy.
Because it
So
bleeds. The ink bleeds in the paper.
right, 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 right. But do you have any other questions for me, Matt? Because this is not going to be. This is also not going to be the last time we get together.
Yeah, I don't think so. I asked my questions mid interview and the clarification of Crom, but I like the
Right,
idea that you're he goes from such a light public domain, all ages character almost to like a dark
right,
god. I'm
right.
into it.
Good, good. And like I said, I'm going to be leaning on you. And definitely when I have something, that's substantial enough to then get you on, and then we can kind of do this similar thing where we're bantering back and forth about, oh, you could try this, you could do this. What do you think about that? And, and maybe even, because the idea too still sits with me if, there was a space that opened up where you even was, okay, yeah, I got a 6 or 8 pager for CROM that would slide in really nice. It might not be anthology number 1, it might be number 3 or 4, whatever. And this artist needs to be involved. Like that would be an ultimate for me.
Right.
So
Right.
just a heads up in what's happening in my little cavern of a head memory idea generator.
But
So
you're looking to make each anthology like 200 pages or so?
yep, yeah,
Wow. Very
that's the
very
whole thing.
ambitious. I love it.
The idea is it's the merchandise to cromthebarbarian.com. So I know this is where it really gets, I think, people going, what? I understand that everybody wants to make money off of their comics, and that's one good thing. But the real truth of it is it's a marathon. So cromthebarbarian.com is one of the other reasons I didn't want to do the Kickstarter. I don't want the SEO, which is a search engine optimization, which is the other half of my job. Is I work with artists and I help them, set up websites, YouTube channels, Instagram, but they do it with the words and the right clarity in order to get over time, the right people, and you keep those people attracted to you. And then, because I know there's probably a lot of people out there that just don't have the funds, or like I'm on the list and they will buy a CROM collected, but it's not going to happen now. It might happen at Christmas time. Well, when they go to Google me, it goes to cromthebarbarian.com, and then there could be other purchases and the such. So this video is part of the CROM Update blog and podcast. So that's another, feeding vein, as it will. But I'm also looking at like a school, if you will, because a lot of the people I come across are probably wanting to get some art education, like learn to draw better, understanding how to lay out comics or compositions, and you know what I mean? And so there would be like opportunity to do like one-on-one lessons with me as well, which would be
All
a part
right.
of that. You know what I mean? And, one of the things I always get disappointed about education, art education specifically, is the industrialized part of it. In other words, I'm going to teach you how to draw exactly like Ken Landgraf, and then you can go down the road to this publisher and they'll hire you at $100 a page rate. Well, we know that doesn't work anymore.
Right.
But having a really good SEO solid website and some social media platforms and your own vision towards your own work, you're going to be good. You're going to be good. So those are things that are still laying out. But Matt, I just got to thank you. And
Of course.
I look forward to many, many more interactions. And of course, the daily interactions that happens over on Instagram, and links are in the description. Matt's Mega King podcast link to Instagram. Excuse me, not Instagram. And then the Etsy. So,
Great.
but that's all I got. And you
Always
have any
happy.
other plugs?
No, always happy to talk comics, so hit me up anytime. No, you can find me on Instagram, KingMegatrip23. Like you said, the Etsy store is kingmegatrip.etsy.com. If you Google King Megatrip mixtapes, you'll find all my mixes online. And I'm Matt King on Facebook. Other than that, I'm on a bunch of podcasts, probably on YouTube. If you search my name or Tales to Enlighten, you'll find me.
Yeah, a couple nights ago, I fell down the Renegade Soundwave hole.
Oh, man.
on that is the Cocaine Sex is the most memorable song ever, because it was the song playing when I was walking into a club in Baltimore. I think I was 18 or 19. And Cocaine Sex by Renegade Soundwave was blaring, and it was all over from there.
I love it. I love it.
10 blurry, can barely remember years.
Oh, wow. I hear that.
All right, Matt. We'll see you.
All right, dude. Thanks.